Hey guys, today we're going to put this little product through the acid test. This is a brand new power supply from Vangoa, 100% battery powered, rechargeable, and isolated. Let's check it out. As you know, I'm always on the lookout for new products that will make our lives easier. And today's product is brought to us by the good people at Vangoa. This is the PS01 power supply, which happens to be battery powered, 100% rechargeable, and isolated. You probably already have a power supply for your pedals, and most likely it's hardwired, so it plugs right into the plug into the wall. And there's some comfort in that, knowing that the battery's not going to die out. As long as there's a plug nearby, you will be okay. So some of you out there, including myself, traditionalists, might shun away from new technology that relies on battery power because it needs to be recharged. Say you're playing a gig and you get heavily into that solo that is only supposed to last 3 minutes, and all of a sudden it's extended to 15 minutes. Are you going to be thinking at the back of your mind, I hope my battery doesn't run out on my pedal board? Will this product change my mind and just encourage me to embrace the technology that is available to us today? Let's do a quick unboxing to see exactly what is in this box, and then we're going to put the little device through its paces by giving it the acid test. We'll find out how it sounds, we'll find out how long the battery lasts, and we'll look at all the features that it provides. At the end of the video, I'll give you my 2 cents for whatever it's worth. All right, let's unbox this thing and see exactly what we get inside. So as we open up the box, we have the little instruction manual here. Seems to be pretty slim, but let's have a quick peek inside, shall we? Pretty basic information. I don't know if we're going to need this, but we'll put that aside. Here we have the power supply. Let's take it out of the bag. Take a look at this first. So the unit itself seems to have some nice weight to it. The top chassis has a nice round over. It's made of aluminum. You can see the screws holding everything in place. It does have some vents here on the side. I like the design, I like the look, I like the colors. In the front of it, we can see all of the outputs, and then we have the button here to turn it on, as well as there's an output and an input. So this is where the charge cable goes. This is a USB-C charge cable, and this is an output, 5 volts, 1 amp, and this can be used to power up your other devices. So in actual fact, this can actually be used as a power bank, which is a nice plus. If we press the button, which happens to be a metal button here, by the way, has a nice little LED light that lights up around it. And then we can see all of the lights on the front of it. All the LEDs light up, so you have a clear indication that everything is working. And then you have the power bars here to indicate how much charge you have. As you can see, it's not fully charged right now, so I'm going to plug that in to charge it up 100%. And then we're going to let it run and see how much time it takes before the batteries run out on this thing. Obviously, there's a bunch of cables here, and these are all of the cables that are going to be used to power up your pedals. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those. And then we do have a small cable here, which is the actual USB-C charge cable. So we're going to be needing that one. As you can see, the cables are pretty long. I'd say these are over 1 foot long. Probably more than what you need for a regular size pedal board, but it's always better to have a longer cable than a cable that is not long enough. I plugged in 7 random pedals. I didn't select them for any particular reason. I just took them because they were here, and I plugged them in. They all have different power requirements. So this is a Klon, a Plimsoll, an exotic compressor. We have a Nu X digital delay, a Joyo analog delay. We have a Plexi M distortion pedal here, as well as a TC Electronic chorus pedal. And I plugged them all in. I just wanted to make sure that with all of these pedals plugged into the power supply, we didn't have any surprises, any glitches. As you can see, all the lights are on. It is furnishing power to all of the pedals, which are all on now. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this thing charge up. I'm gonna plug this in, charge it up to 100%. As you can see, it's not at 100% right now. And once it's charged to 100%, we're going to let it run. We're going to keep all these pedals on, let it run till it depletes the battery completely down to 0. And I'm going to let you know exactly how long it has taken the pedals to drain the unit. So that's kind of like a real world example of how much time you can expect to get out of this in terms of playtime. After that, we'll plug this in to all these pedals and we'll listen to the unit to see how it sounds, whether or not we can hear any noise, any hiss, see how loud the noise floor is on the pedal, and just to see how well it performs with these various pedals. Let's listen to the noise floor on this little unit. I put the pedals on the board and just very quickly, I didn't overthink it or anything like that. So I have 7 pedals hooked up to the power supply, and the board that I'm using here is actually also a Vangoa board that I reviewed a few weeks back. You may have seen that video. So in case any of you are wondering, yes, the power supply is thin enough to be mounted underneath this Vangoa board with some tie wraps or screws or however you want to do that. But I left it out for the time being so you can see it while we're recording the playing portion of this video. So the modulation effects on the top row are going into the effects loop of my Friedman Dirty Shirley, and it's dialed in somewhat clean. The overdrive pedals on the lower row here are basically going into the front of the amplifier. I'm playing humbuckers through an SG, and basically everything's on right now except the volume is turned down on my guitar. So let me turn it up and we'll hear if there's a noticeable difference when the pedals are all plugged in and not necessarily turned on. So let's start with that. Alright, so right now everything's turned up on the guitar. I can strum a chord, you can hear it. So pretty quiet. I don't hear any weird noises at the moment. Let's start turning on some pedals, shall we? And we'll just see what it does. So I'll start off with the compressor here. So I don't hear any weird noises. I'm picking up the sound with my lapel microphone so I can talk at the same time as I'm doing this. So usually if we plug in and turn on a couple of delay pedals, sometimes they can be finicky. So let's turn on the Nu X pedal here, which is the Edge. We'll leave the Edge pedal on and we'll turn on the Joyo analog delay. Well, let's leave one of the delay pedals on. We'll leave the Joyo pedal on, we'll leave the compressor on, and we'll turn on the Plexi M. Now whenever you turn on a drive pedal like this, because the amplifier is already very loud and I'm standing pretty close to it, you may get some feedback, but let's hear what that sounds like. Obviously distortion pedals do have a louder noise floor because of the gain, so let me just turn up the guitar. You can hear that on the edge of feedback even. you're hearing is because I'm standing close to the amplifier. So if I turn off the delay, it maybe will be a little bit better. So. We're getting a little bit less feedback now that we have the analog delay turned off. Let's turn on the chorus pedal. And let's turn on the delay pedal. So as you can hear, it's pretty quiet, pretty silent, with you know, 3 or more pedals running. Even if we turn in the other, you know, at this point we're playing 4 pedals in a row, a lot of modulation effects here, and still pretty quiet. I wouldn't really use 2 delay pedals often, but it's just I'm just showing that to prove a point where, you know, you can actually put in 3 modulation effects or 4 modulation effects and not necessarily have any additional noise or anything like that. So I think it sounds pretty good so far. Well, here we are at the part of the video where I give you my opinion on the product, and I have to say that I went into this video with quite a bit of skepticism because it did clearly indicate that the battery in this device would only last 2 hours. For me, that was pretty much a deal breaker because I tend to play longer than 2 hours most times. Even when I'm rehearsing, it usually goes 3 hours or more. So 2 hours really doesn't cut the mustard for me. But I was pleasantly surprised when we actually tested it in a real world scenario, and it lasted 5 hours, and that is with all of the pedals plugged in, all turned on for the full 5 hours. Now, you guys know that we rarely do that. You're never gonna plug in all of your pedals or turn on all of your pedals at the same time. When you're playing a gig, it's gonna be 1 or 2 or whatever, 3, maybe 4 max, but never 7. So I really think that because of that, I'm liking this product a whole lot more, honestly. How can you use a product like this? I'm looking at it from this perspective. It's always great to have a backup. So if you're playing a show and you're going to the show with your power supply, God forbid something happens, something breaks, and you're stuck with no power, what do? One of these things is very easy to carry with you, to put into your pocket, to put into your bag. It's small and slim, and it's just like insurance, really. You have a secondary power supply at your disposal in case you need it. But you know, there's more than meets the eye here, because in many scenarios, I've often played in less than desirable situations where you get to a space, a rehearsal space or a gig, and you find out that the power is dirty. What is dirty power? It's basically wiring that is not done optimally, which could result in ground loops or additional noise or interference, 60 cycle hum, that kind of thing that you've probably all experienced at some point. So when you're in a scenario like that, especially when you're trying to record and you're dealing with noise issues, that's not very pleasant. Well, if you take the room or the building wiring out of the scenario by going 100% battery power, that's gone. That issue doesn't exist anymore. So if you are dealing with that situation, and you might even have that situation in your own home, then this would be an excellent solution to that problem. So you see that there's quite a few different ways that you can actually use this product, and that's really opened my eyes and made me feel like, hey, I think this product definitely has a place for a gigging musician. Other than that, there's always one other thing. I like the fact that this thing can be used as a power bank. So once it's fully charged, you can actually use it to charge up your phone, your camera, your tablets, whatever devices you might be traveling with. So if you're going on a trip, this is an easy way to power up your devices beyond the pedals. So as you can see, very nice product, well thought out. I think it's solid. I definitely like the way it's made. I think the buttons being made of metal feel like they're not gonna break on you. I like the fact that the entire device is made of aluminum and not plastic. And the time I was actually testing out the pedals and letting them run till the battery died, this thing didn't heat up one bit. I was a little bit concerned about that because sometimes these units do tend to get hot, and this one stayed cool as a cucumber. There are some vents built into it, and I think that the aluminum chassis acts as a heat sink, and it just helps to dissipate that heat and avoid any heat buildup. The fact that there's clear, bright LED lights everywhere to show you how much power is left, to see which of the outlets here are working, and you can clearly see when the product is on or off. Everything's bright. So even in a low lit room, you're never wondering how much power is left. You just have to look at the bars and It also charges up very quickly. Once it was drained, I powered it up and it charged up really, really quickly. It's great to be able to know that you can charge it up quickly and be on your way. You're not going to be sitting there forever waiting for it to charge. So overall, I'm giving this power supply from Vangoa top marks. I think you should check it out for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it, but if you come across this in your neck of the woods, you might take a moment and have a look at it. I'll give you all of the information you need in the comments section. I'll give you the links to where you can find additional information or perhaps buy one for yourself and check it out. I highly recommend it. Now, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and also consider following me on Instagram, because I do post some additional goodies there from time to time that you don't often get to see on YouTube. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you stay tuned for the next one because it's on its way. See you soon.